presence of the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit that God is pouring out upon the church is bringing about that change in people's lives. They're realising, they're encountering the presence of the Holy Spirit and realising there is so much more to God, there is so much more to the purpose that He has for them, and that they're coming to discover that in this authentic encounter with the Holy Spirit. So we can go through the motions of our Catholic faith, we can go through the practice of observing our faith, but there is so much more that God has in store for us in this encounter with the Holy Spirit.
When I received the Holy Spirit, it didn't change me in the sense that I became some very different guy. I kept my personality, but in a very real way, the Holy Spirit met me where I was at and just enabled me and empowered me, for example, to resist temptation that I would have given into in the past. But without changing everything of who I was, it empowered me in exactly who I was, to be the man I was meant to be.
Like the first time that that the Holy Spirit came into my life, it was in 2003, and it was kind of like it was a tangible feeling. Like I felt the Holy Spirit, it was just complete love, and it made me joyful. It made me peaceful. It made me happy. It made me feel just alive again.
I didn't have much hope. I didn't see much of a future. I didn't see much potential in me. I just didn't have much hope. And after the experience with the Holy Spirit and experiencing that love, that peace and that forgiveness really physically present in me, all of a sudden I had hope. All of a sudden I had this hope for the future, this hope for God's will and the wonderful things that He would do in my life and the wonderful things He'd bring about through the power of the Holy Spirit.
My first experience of the Holy Spirit, it really changed the way that I saw God. My whole life, it had been about me knowing about God. And when I had that experience with the Holy Spirit, it changed from knowing about God to knowing God personally, and God became real in my life.
My first explicit encounter with the Holy Spirit took place when I was 17, and I remember at that time being struck by the fact that this is all true. I'd been brought up in a Christian environment with an academic understanding of my faith, but this encounter with the presence of God overwhelmed me, and I remember walking away from that moment being absolutely dumbfounded just of the truth of this moment, and being struck by the truth that God really is there. And even though I'd sort of lived with that conviction, or at least with a remote sense of faith, that experience just gave me such a deep, it just blew me away that God could be that real and could be that present to me.